everyone, welcome back to Global Scope News. I am Mohsin Ali and today we are reporting on a heartbreaking tragedy that has struck in Lebanon. Just when we thought the city might finally find some peace, and a terrible event has unfolded. On Thursday evening, a devastating attack, and the news is both shocking and sad. The airstrikes happened on Thursday evening, and they have caused a lot of pain and suffering. According to the health ministry in the Lebanon, 22 people lost their lives and 117 others were hurt. This attack occurred in Beirut, a small area in the city of the Lebanon that is mostly Muslims community Shia. Residents heard loud explosions that echoed throughout the streets, shaking the very ground they stood on. The sound of destruction filled the air, causing panic and fear among everyone in the neighborhood. Rescue workers rushed to the site of the strike, digging through the rubble to find anyone who might be trapped under the debris. They worked tirelessly, desperately trying to save as many lives as possible. With each passing moment, hope dividedly. But the brave rescue teams continued their work. Ambulances quickly arrived, carrying the injured to the American University hospitals for urgent medical care. The hospitals became overwhelmed with patients, and many people were seen crying for their loved ones, hoping for their safe returns. Media reports say that Wafik Safa, a close ally of the late Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah, was the main target of these airstrikes. Fortunately, he survived the attack. However, this raises many questions because neither the Israeli military nor Hezbollah has provided any comments about the strike. This silence leaves many people wondering about the reasons behind the attack and what might happen next. The airstrike targeted residential buildings, especially in the crowded neighborhoods of Nuri and Basta. These areas are densely populated, meaning many innocent families live there. It's heartbreaking to think that these people were just going about their daily lives when disaster struck. The buildings that were hit were filled with families, including children and elderly people. Some residents were preparing for dinner, while others were just settling down to watch televisions when the explosions suddenly shattered their lives. It's the most shocking news. Witnesses described the cause and confusions that followed the strikes. A woman who lived next to the building that was hit shared her experience. She did not want to give her name but described how she felt the ground shake fall from the explosion. She said the building that was hit was completely residential, standing about for 5 stories tall. Her heart sank as she shared that one of her relatives was hurt and taken to the hospital with serious head injuries. The fear and worry on her face were clear as she recalled the terrifying movements the strikes occurred. Adding to the cause, just hours before the Beirut attack, two Indonesian peacekeepers were injured in southern Lebanon. An Israeli tank fired at a UN watchtower, causing injuries to the peacekeepers. The United Nations force in Lebanon reported that an observation tower at their base in Nakura was directly hit. Fortunately, the injuries were not serious, but the peacekeepers were still taken to the hospital for treatments. They were doing their best to help maintain peace in the region, but they found themselves caught in this crossfire. The United Nations has been trying to maintain peace in southern Lebanon since 1978. They help monitor conflicts and ensure that civilians can access humanitarian aid. In the last 24 hours, the UN reported that Israeli forces have repeatedly hit their positions, which is very alarming. The UN accused Israeli soldiers of deliberately shooting at their cameras and lights at two different UNIFIL bases, which is simply unacceptable in a separate incident. Israeli soldiers fired at a base in Nakura, damaging the entrance to their bunker where peacekeepers were sheltered. This action caused significant damage to vehicles and a communications system, putting the peacekeepers at greater risk. An Israeli drone was spotted flying over the bunker entrance, which added to the tension in the area. The whole atmosphere was filled with fear, and the peacekeepers tried to stay safe while doing their job. Meanwhile, Hezbollah responded by launching rockets at Israeli soldiers on the ground. They claimed to have used guided missiles to destroy an Israeli tank that was approaching their area, leading to casualties. This action shows that the situation is escalating quickly and that the conflict is far from over. There are now four divisions of Israeli soldiers actively fighting inside Lebanon as part of the ongoing ground operations against Hezbollah, which began on September 30. A spokesperson for UNIFIL expressed deep concerns about the increasing activity of the Israeli army in the areas where peacekeeping troops are stationed. They point out that the position held by Israeli forces are well known as UN sites. It's crucial to have discussions with Israeli authorities to understand what is happening and to ensure the safety of peacekeepers in the region. Currently, about 10,000 military peacekeepers from 50 different countries are deployed in Lebanon as part of UNIFIL. There are also about 800 civilian staff working to support their missions in Indonesia, which contributes to over 1,200 troops, has the largest presence among contributing countries, emphasizing the importance of their role in maintaining peace in the region. Earlier on Thursday, the Lebanese Ministry of Public Health reported another Israeli airstrike on the village of Karak in eastern Lebanon. This attack resulted in 4 more deaths and injured 17 others. This situation is becoming increasingly dire, with the Lebanon's government stating that as many as 1.2 million people have fled their homes in the past year due to ongoing violence and conflict. Families are being torn apart, and children are losing their homes and safe places to play. The humanitarian crisis in Lebanon is severe. Many people are struggling to find food, water, and medical care. The streets are filled with the sounds of sirens and cries for help, and the fear for further attacks hangs heavy in the air. People are worried about what tomorrow will bring and if they will ever feel safe in their own homes again. Tensions in the region have been escalating steadily since Hezbollah began firing rockets into northern Israel on October 8. This escalation happens just after the deadly attack by Hamas on southern Israel, which resulted in about 1,200 people losing their lives and 251 being taken hostage. The situation has become a cycle of violence that affects everyone involved since October 7. Nearly 42,000 people have been killed in Gaza due to Israel's offensive, according to reports from the Hamas-run health ministry. The humanitarian crisis is severe, with families losing everything and many people is desperate need of assistance. As the violence continues, we must remember that the innocent lives that are being lost and the families that are being torn apart in these challenging and sorrowful times. It's crucial for all of us to come together and hope for peace. The loss of innocent lives in Beirut is a tragedy that reminds us of the urgent need for dialogue and understanding between all parties involved. We must raise our voices against violence and advocate for a peaceful resolution to the ongoing conflict. As we witness the unfolding events, let us keep the victims and their families in our thoughts and prayers. The world needs to unite and help those suffering and find a way to bring about lasting peace. That's all for today. Thank you for joining me on Today Global Scope News. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to Global Scope News for the latest updates on this and other important stories. I am Mohsin Ali, and I hope you stay safe and take care.